Melisa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. The author Margaret Atwood once wrote, "Men are afraid that women will laugh at them, and women are afraid that men will kill them." She wrote that 44 years ago, but unfortunately the realities of violence against women remain disturbingly relevant today. So today, as we mark International Women's Day, I'm here at an event where the Women's Aid Organization has just released a new policy brief examining the state of intimate partner violence in Malaysia. And joining me to discuss this topic are the good folks from WAO, Executive Director Nazreen Nizam and Senior Advocacy Officer Zati Hanani Zainol Abidin. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, ladies. I'm going to begin with you, Nazreen. Maybe start our conversation. I think there are a lot of people who may think intimate partner violence is something of a private matter. It's a matter between a relationship of two adults. It's a rumah tangga. When you hear this, what is it that you want to correct about this misconception? What is it that we need to understand about intimate partner violence as a public policy issue?
Yeah, I mean, when I hear things like this, obviously it angers me because the reality is not such. It's not just a family issue. It's not a relationship dispute. Domestic violence or violence against women is a structural issue, you know, and we can see there's a lot of gaps in our society when it comes to domestic violence, gender-based violence, right? And yeah, definitely we need to look at this beyond hal rumah tangga, hal you know, dalam rumah and all that kind of things. You know, it's a crime. Domestic violence is a crime. We have a Domestic Violence Act that stipulated that domestic violence is a crime.
Is there a difference between the way, say, the law defines domestic violence and intimate partner violence? Zati, you came up with this wonderful policy brief. So talk to me a little bit about how should we understand what intimate partner violence is?
So intimate partner violence is like the bigger group. So like domestic violence for married partner is part of intimate partner violence. But in Malaysia, unmarried partners is not considered in the partners under the Domestic Violence Act. So these unmarried partners, maybe like boyfriends, girlfriends, fiancés, they are not recognized under this act. Yeah. So however, like technically they are intimate partner. So same goes as the couples that are married. So the dynamic is that the power dynamics is
the power dynamics are still there in the relationship, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's why we wanted to have it under the DVA as well.
Because violence can happen regardless of your marital status.
Absolutely, and that's what we are saying in our policy brief. You know, violence happen. It did not depends on your marital status. You know, but unfortunately, under our Domestic Violence Act currently, it do not cover people who are not married.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think because of the work that WAO does, I guess supporting survivors of gender-based violence, can you maybe walk us through what a survivor goes through when they want to make a report? And I'm quite curious because let's say a survivor comes forward. What tends to be their first point of contact? Is it the police? Is it NGOs like yourself? Is it a medical setting? Paint a picture for me.
I mean, honestly, I think it depends. You know, there's not one size fits all or all the cases are the same, right? Because some survivors, they may have information about WAO or other NGOs and then they will contact us first. But some of them, I think their first point of contact would always be the police. Because they felt that something happened to them and they want to make a report about this because they need help. Who do they go to? It will be the police. Unless if there is a physical harm, meaning if they're hurt, there's injuries, you know, then I think that they most probably would go to the hospital lah, you know, one-stop crisis center. So let's say if they come to us, they contact WAO, what we'll do is we will hear their cases, you know, and we will ask them what is it they want to do, because we need to understand not all survivors are ready to make a police report.
Okay.
Just like that.
It's not straightforward,
It's
right?
not straightforward.
Yeah.
It's not. Maybe it's easy for us to say, oh, why you didn't just make a police report? But we need to understand that everyone is going through a different mental state. It's not the same, and we cannot compare how we would react to how the survivors would react. You know, especially when they are in a traumatized situation. Maybe they just left the home with their children, you know, with nothing, no barang-barang, whatever, just like important documents and stuff like that, and they don't know what to do now. You know, so we walk through with them, like, okay, these are their options, because of course we do not make the decision for them. We'll tell them that, okay, you have option A, you have option B, you have option C. Now think about what is best for you and your children. So let's,
the children come into play as
of
well,
course,
right?
because mothers, you hardly I hear cases of mothers just running away by themselves. Mothers always run away with their children. You know?
And often children in those environments are witnesses to domestic violence, intimate partner violence.
Yes, so like just now when we talk about the challenges of children getting the protection order, is because the way we see it is, okay, there is a direct survivor, but there's also indirect survivors, kan? Because not all the perpetrators, like for example in a situation where the perpetrators are the fathers, they will hit the children, not necessarily. Sometimes they have a very good relationship with the children, but the children become indirect survivors because they witness the harm that was inflicted upon their mother, okay, and that also traumatized them, right? So in this situation, we also have to look into the children's well-being, okay? So then, when the mother, let's say they make a decision that they want to make a police report, then we will assist them with, drafting the police report and stuff like that.
So they have some assistance, some kind of companionship to help them.
Okay. So when they call us, and we need them to call us, because sometimes we do have third party. For example, that say, oh, my kakak ke, my adik ke, my colleagues and everything. Then we'll say, okay, we hear you, but can you please get the survivor to call us, because we need to speak directly to the survivor.
Why is that important?
Because we need to establish consent. Okay, because we cannot help them if they do not want to be helped. You see, so when we speak to the survivor themselves, and then the they will be assigned a social worker. So the social worker basically will guide them lah, daripada A to Z.
Okay.
You know,
so
what is it that they want and everything. You know, so if they come to stay with us at our shelter, then we will give them the counselling. And then all the case management support daripada police station, hospital, JKM, sometimes school, because the kids need to like transfer school ke, things like that, you know, all these sort of things.
I've met some of the social workers that do this work today here at the event, and they've been wonderful.
They are amazing.
So much passion in service of, sisters who need help. Right?
Yeah.
Let's come back to legal protections and what we have, what frameworks we have to protect survivors of intimate partner violence, of gender-based violence, domestic violence. Malaysia has the Domestic Violence Act, Zati, and I think there's also several other legislations, right? The Anti-Sexual Harassment Act.
Correct.
I think there's several sections in the Penal Code as well that looks at this. Why do you argue that these protections are not enough? Where does the Domestic Violence Act fall short?
Okay, so when we refer directly to the policy brief, that we want to enact the section 2, where it comes to the definition of like who is the victim. So for example, in chat. Okay, so we want to define again the definition of domestic relationship. So before this, the definition of domestic relationship is wife, husband, mother, father, like family members.
Family members,
yes,
okay.
and also they also recently added ex-husband as well as. Yeah, so they also fall under the domestic violence.
Ex-spouses,
Ex-spouses
ex-husband
and
and ex-wife.
Yeah. So, so that's one of the amendment that we want to push. And another thing that we actually, the elements under the DVA is quite good because it gives access to the EPO, Emergency Protection Order, the IPO, Interim Protection Order, and Protection Order. However, among our experience in case management and also our clients, we find there's a lot of challenges in accessing that services or that kind of protection. Yes.
Oh, okay, let's talk about that. So a couple of acronyms you use. So you use protection orders. There's an emergency protection order and interim protection order. I have heard comments that, oh, we have these tools. They are essential tools to provide some security to survivors. When you say there are challenges, talk to me about how effective they are in practice.
Okay. So for first thing, the EPO, the Emergency Protection Order. So it will released by the welfare department, Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat. So however, it only lasted for 7 days. But the good thing is it supposedly does not need a police report in order to get that.
So someone will assess the situation, deem there to be an emergency, and then issue some
welfare officer.
Yes.
Okay, and then issue an EPO.
Yeah, that's only for if there's physical violence or a threat to hurt someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the interim
protection order is while the investigation is going on. Yeah.
During the investigation, when the police officer open the investigation paper.
Okay, and what do protection orders mean? Like what, and how is it different from is it a restraining order that I often hear being referenced in films and the like?
Yeah, I mean it's similar. So protection order, basically what they do is they will describe in the protection order that okay, you cannot go near to this person, like 200 meter near to this person. You cannot go to the workplace and there will be an address.
Right.
You cannot. You need to leave the marital home,
residence,
that kind of things. You know. So that is what protection order is, lah.
Okay. And what happens if there are gaps in those protections? If there are breaches of the protection orders, has that been? I see you nodding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, my face.
No,
right?
I'm sure this has been an ongoing issue.
Yeah, so basically that's the thing, like what Zati said, right? We may have the law, but it's not enough to just have the law. The enforcement of the law, the implementation of the law is also very much important, because otherwise it's just going to be a piece of paper. This is what I've heard our survivor, our clients said, you know, because they have like make many police report, get a protection order, you know, tapi, you know, they could not get that protection, right? Because the perpetrator can still come near them, kacau them and their kids and stuff like that. So,
do protection orders also cover children?
Yes.
Okay.
This is why it's important, because you see in the protection order, like what I mentioned just now, they will stipulate that, they will describe that, like the protection order, you cannot go near the working place of this person, the name, the IC and the address. It's not going to be the same with the protection order for the children, because the protection of children will have other specific terms. Right, like you cannot go to near the school, or you cannot, like, you know, come near 50 meter, that kind of things. Right. So that's why each person need their own protection order. Yeah.
So tailored to the individual circumstances.
Correct.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, it becomes a lot more complex in this way, and I can only imagine this is quite daunting for survivors.
Very much.
Has that been the case? Is that where WAO can help step in to provide some assistance through this journey?
So we will assist survivor to get a protection order as well, So like the social worker will guide them with all the necessary documentation and everything in order to apply for the interim protection order.
I mean, I truly appreciate the work that you have been doing, not just at today's event, but in the years and decades past. But when we think about how this information is going out there, I'm quite curious to know how both of you feel about the role of men and boys. How important, first of all, is it that we engage them, and what does that engagement look like meaningfully? The reason why I ask is, as if we were to focus on intimate partner violence, right? The dating stage, the boyfriend-girlfriend stage, the fiancé. I read a recent survey that young men, Gen Z men, are 1/3 of the respondents in this Ipsos global survey.
I heard this one as well.
Now feel that the wife must obey the husband. This is twice as likely as the boomer generation, which is quite shocking to me.
Very shocking.
I guess the rise of the manosphere and those narratives online. But how do you see it both of you? I'm quite curious to know your work translating into engagement to men and boys, particularly young men and boys. Zati.
Okay, it has been a problem since like many years, because we still live in a society that's still promote the victim blaming attitude, and also even our study, like only half that against attitudes that supporting violence against women.
Half of the respondents
Malaysian, half of Malaysian, only half that that is against attitudes of supporting violence against women.
So another half is supporting it.
Yeah, either neutral or supporting it.
But when this is the survey in 2021. So in that survey, of course, the neutral are those who not taking the position to oppose.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we can see it as supporting lah.
So does your work translate into engaging men and young boys as well?
Yes. So I'm, a very good question. I'm very happy you asking me that question because this is the work that we're going to embark this year in 2026 of engaging men in gender-based violence prevention.
Wow.
Okay. So we will work. We receive a funding lah, basically, to do this program, Male Allies program, where we will work with young men. I would say young men. We haven't identified the participants yet, but we have identified the area. It's going to be in Selangor, where we will talk about, what is gender, what is gender-based violence, healthy masculinity, healthy relationship and that kind of thing, because it's very, very important to engage men in this conversation about gender-based violence and domestic violence, because otherwise nothing will change.
You're missing half of the population.
Correct, because every time we talk to women about what's your rights and how you can be more empowered, what can you do, how you recognize violence, how you respond to violence, but if you don't talk to the man of telling them not to be a perpetrator, then sampai bila pun we will still have this cycle of violence continuously, it will just continue, So when we want to talk, how we want to approach this is like talking to men and looking how there can be a gender transformative behavior or attitude.
Which is one of the things that has really resonated with me in this event was you screened a video about active bystandership, right?
Yes.
So I loved it. It started with, if nothing else, if you can't do anything else, start with Wait bro. Call it out. Have other men call out the behavior of other men. Very important. I just stress that point about why it's important that we are active bystanders. Comes back to my first question. Instead of saying, oh, ni hal rumah tangga,
Yes.
ni private matter between two people, it's their relationship, we shouldn't meddle. There should be an element of active bystandership between us. Tell me how you see and how you would encourage our audience today to be active bystanders.
Definitely. I mean, like the issue of domestic violence or issue of gender-based violence is not a women's issue. We can never see it as a women issue. It's the nation issue. You know, it's the society issue. It's a cancer, a pandemic in our society. You know, so everyone need to play their role for us to end violence against women. And definitely men play a very, very important role, especially talking to other men.
Yes.
Right? Because sometimes maybe men, they are good men. And they are the green flags lah kononnya kan. But then if you are not telling off your other red flags friends, then the red flags will stay red flags, you know.
Yeah.
We want more green flags lah.
Yeah.
Sometimes silence is also complicity, kan?
Definitely.
Yes.
That's why I mentioned in that survey, when people put neutral, when they don't want to answer yes or no, when you say neutral, that means that show your position.
Yeah, neutral is a position.
It's a position.
Yeah,
It
for
is
sure.
a position.
Also,
Yes,
when coming from the Male Allies program, like, it's also
Yeah.
important to talk to especially youth, because
Yes.
there will be the next, like the frontliners, the police officers,
Yeah.
the one that taking cases, the magistrates. So their view on how gender equality and also how they view gender against women, violence against women, also important.
Very important. That's why
Yeah.
we want to focus on the young people lah.
So that's your next wave. I can see this
Yes,
already
yes,
happening.
it's coming,
the next
it's coming,
phase.
it's coming. We
What-
did we did like a small pilot project actually in 2022. You know, we received some funding, so we did a pilot project. So now we're gonna go
Okay.
all the way out.
Okay, so now is the time to go gangbusters. So that's something else that I'm curious about. You've got this policy brief that you've put in so much work, and what I also liked about it is there's data, right? So this is data that policymakers can use as evidence. Zati, what are you hoping is the next phase of the policy brief? What action are you hoping will come up from this?
So after we've published this policy brief, I hope that it will gain interest from policymakers, and I'm sure that if they understand that how important is this issue and the legal gap that we have today, that it will push into a policy change that will help more women and girls to get protection from violence.
Basically, this policy brief is a beginning of a new campaign for WAO lah.
There you go.
There you go. You know,
I'm
it's a
encouraged
new
to
campaign.
see elected representatives attending today.
Yeah.
it's good.
So after this, we will reach out to like the MPs and other civil society organisation as well, and media friends. You know, to basically talk about the issue of intimate partner violence more lah.
And in the time that we have left, can I just ask you very quickly, if someone today is watching, what would you tell them if they suspect or they think that they may be in a situation of intimate partner violence? Are there signs they can recognize, and are there steps that they can take if they want to embark on that journey?
Signs that they can recognize. See, a relationship should be healthy and respectful. You know, I know we live in a society or in a culture where there is an expectation for women to be obedient. That would be an obedient woman will be seen as a good woman, right? And this and if you say something against your partner, that will be seen as disobedience. So I think that this is something that we need to relook at. You know, what is it that we mean by obedience and disobedience, this kind of things. So what you can actually, I think there are many signs. Women always know actually. They can always feel when things are not right. It's just like maybe you do not have the language to articulate it, or maybe you think that it's a norm because I've seen this happen in my own family members ke, My mother went through it, so if I'm going through it now, what's the big deal about it, you know? So this is the thinking need to change, to know that okay, this is not acceptable. Yes, I'm a wife, I'm a woman, but that doesn't mean I deserve to be treated like this, right? So when that thing happen and you think that you need help, of course you can always call us. WAO is always here. Our hotline number is there, 03 3000 8858, or you can WhatsApp us 018 988 8058.
Yeah. For Tina, which means think I need assistance.
Yes, that one think I need 8.
88. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so you can WhatsApp us because not everyone comfortable to talk on the phone, kan? And if you're not sure, you can just ask. You can. It's not like you call us, maksudnya lepas tu dah besok kita pergi police station. No, it's not like that. You can just ask the social worker. You know, like okay, this is my situation. What is it? You know, sometimes people maybe just need a counselling because they do not know what to do. You know. Or even if you don't call us, you can call other NGO. You can speak to your trusted friends, trusted family members. Kan?
Just to seek help.
Yeah, and also
seek help.
So I think when it comes to sign of a relationship violence, one of it is social isolation. I think that's one of big part that people, when your partners is starting to remove your support system from you, then it's like one of red flag that you have to aware of. Because like when the violence happen, you no longer have support system that you need. Because or the partner already like remove your social support.
Can I just add a little bit thing? We also need to understand that violence doesn't happen only once. You know, there is a cycle of violence. This is also why we need to understand the thinking of the survivor as well, because sometimes people judge survivor, why you didn't just get help when the violence happened. But there's a thing called cycle of violence where, you know, there's tension and then there's eruption and then there's honeymoon. Lepas tu berbaik-baik semula. So this cycle sometimes can happen like maybe as long as like 7 years before a survivor you know, reach out for help. You know, so we just need to.
So no matter at what point, you just have to be there and be patient and
support.
Be there, be present, right?
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for shining a light into this. I think it's really important, and I'm glad that we've had this conversation.
Thank you so much, Melisa.
That's all the time we have here in this episode of Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris signing off for the evening. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.